Welcome to Lifestone TV. We cover personal development and so much more. I'm Marcel. In this video, I'm going to share how to actually stick with your New Year's resolutions and finally make a breakthrough. Let's get right into the video. One of the hardest things about keeping a New Year's resolution is obviously being consistent with it. A lot of us, we fall back into our old ways come February and March. Now I want to talk about the 3 layers of behavioral change: outcomes, process, and identity. Outcomes are what you get, processes are what you do, and your identity is about what you believe. The most effective way to change your habits is to not focus on what you will achieve, but who you will become. Commit to consistency and start off with one goal at a time. And once you complete that, build upon it. You will not only begin to get momentum, but it also won't overload your mind and just be overwhelming for you. When you put all of this pressure on yourself to complete these New Year's resolutions and you just pile it on, it's actually doing yourself a disservice. Instead, be specific, have clarity, and start small. A 1% improvement will have a long-term effect when you build upon it and if you have that commitment to consistency. Oprah says, failing is just life trying to put you in a different direction. And I really believe in that failure is just a lesson. And there's a lot of lessons in life that really create a different trajectory. And unless we didn't go through that, we wouldn't be where we are today. There's an area in the brain, it's called the amygdala, and more specifically, it's part of the limbic system. The amygdala is a collection of nuclei found in the temporal lobe, and this area of the brain highlights fear and threat detection. So it really wants to keep you in your comfort zone, it wants to keep you in the familiar, in safety. It wants to keep you safe. So anytime you branch out and you try and do something new that is going to really elevate you and you have all these new habits and these new goals, a lot of times we make it bigger in our minds. We actually talk ourselves out of it. There's really nothing to fear but fear itself. I know many of you have probably heard this, but have you ever done something in your life that was once really fearful for you, and then once you actually got your feet wet with it, it was no big deal? It's really important to not make these assumptions and not talk yourself out of it before you even try. It's so important to change it up. Now, changing it up with your environment, with your clothes, with the people you hang out with the food that you eat, with the words that you speak, your vocabulary, the way that you look. Like maybe you need to change up your hair. Maybe you need to stop hanging out at the same spot and kind of mix it up. A lot of us, we get into this routine, this Groundhog's Day of sorts, and we go to the same cafes, hang out with the same people, say the same thing, and it just kind of gets a little stale and old. And a lot of times our environment, they hold energy. Ask yourself, is my environment affecting my thinking, or is my thinking affecting my environment? Articles of clothing hold energy, and well, maybe there's an article of clothing that it reminds you so much of this time in your life. Probably time to let that go, or stop holding on to things that have energy of the past, and invite newness into your life. Go to that new restaurant, hang out with that new friend. When you change it up, when you change your environment, when you travel to a new city and hang out with new people, and you're really loading in so much new information into the brain and learning new information, and actually more importantly implementing. And it's really important not to make things bigger than they are, right? A lot of times we create things in our minds that aren't even in reality, and we stress out and we get so exhausted by something that is imaginary, that is just in our minds, right? And our minds are incredibly powerful. The same way that our minds can create so much pain and anxiety is the same way that you can create a lot of happiness. And it really is so true that your perception is your reality. There's people that have so much less than what you have and they're actually happier, right? There's celebrities with billions and billions of dollars, and maybe in their minds they're actually so miserable. So you really have to pay attention to what lens are you looking through in life, and are you getting in your own way? You have to be able to conquer yourself. For the longest time, and I still actually fall into this, but I am working on it, It is cheerphobia. And cheerphobia is an aversion to happiness, thinking that, well, if I'm happy, something bad is going to happen, and almost a fearfulness of happiness, a fearfulness of my own success. And I really had to come to terms with this and accept this about myself, but also to define is to limit. And when you say to yourself, well, this is who I am, I can't do this because of this, and you create all of these limitations in your mind, then, you're really boxing yourself in, and that's not fair at all. It makes me think of like how much we get in our own way just with our thinking patterns and how we self-sabotage ourselves. Like, there's so many times where I have nothing to worry about and my day is going great, but in the back of my mind, I just think like, well, I can't be happy because of this, this, and this, or what ifs, or these assumptions that we all create. And so many people get so little done with their lives because they're so exhausted with worrying, with being stressed out, with convincing themselves they're not enough, with talking themselves out of their dreams. That's so exhausting. Invest your energy where it matters. Don't give energy to things that you don't want to grow, because anything that you put your attention on, your awareness on, it's gonna grow. Worrying, overthinking, assuming things. So anything that you want in life, don't put it on a pedestal. Don't make it further away, because putting things on a pedestal, you're just creating distance. Instead, normalize it. Maybe you want to be a billionaire, right? Say to yourself, I'm a billionaire. It's no big deal. It's just everyday life. This is normal for me. I have $1 billion in my bank account. It's normal. And, kind of brainwash yourself in a way, because when we think of ourselves as really small, we're really shortchanging ourselves, guys. Like, it's not fair. Make this New Year's resolution that you have, or these many New Year's resolutions, make it attractive, make it fun, and always keep your eyes on the why, and ask yourself, what will it cost me if I don't do this? Ask yourself, who do I want to become? A lot of people that I talk to that struggle with areas of their life tremendously, or their entire life, kind of everything is just a big mess. There's kind of a trend within these people, and also I used to struggle with this as well, is not having an outlet. So having an outlet, right? Giving yourself time to play, allowing yourself to indulge, allowing yourself to do things that you enjoy, and just feel your spontaneity, feel your adventure. I actually created a soap on this whole meaning. It's called Gray Moon. I'll leave the link in the description. I love dancing so much, and I also really like MMA, UFC in particular, and it's important to have like hobbies, have things that pique your interest and align like with your childlike self. And when I dance, or even when I get really into, UFC fight and their stare downs, and I get into it and it really excites me, because particularly with the UFC, it requires so much self-belief and so much spirituality to face someone and look them straight in the eye with the energy of, I am gonna dominate you physically, emotionally, mentally. Have your goals be time bound. Give yourself a deadline. So maybe one of your new goals is to have a 6-pack in 4 months. That's great. You're actually giving yourself a specific time to complete it. When we're really vague and really general with our goals and with our New Year's resolutions, oh, I want to get fit, I want to get healthy, that doesn't create a lot of fuel and a lot of momentum and a lot of motivation. Schedule your priorities. Something that I do that really helps me is writing down where I spend my time, eliminating things that I don't see any value in, that I'm actually spending my time in, and it's not giving me any value. A good example would be scrolling on Instagram in the morning. My days just don't feel as productive. And a lot of us, we have this fear of missing out. We want to compare ourselves to others. And when you compare yourselves to others, that really is a thief of joy. The best thing to do is to compare yourself to the yesterday you. Ask yourself, how can I be better? It's really important to have boundaries with other people and with yourself too. Detach from emotions that don't do you any good. Ask yourself, what does this do for me exactly? Is this even worth thinking about? What am I gaining out of this? Is this worth my energy? Communicate authentically and communicate effectively. Speak your truth. I actually created a candle all about this. It's called True Essence. When you wear a mask, when you act as if you're someone else and you copy someone else, you emulate them, and you're kind of hiding all of who you are, you're not only shortchanging yourself, but you're doing the world a disservice as well. No one is you, that is your power. And I realize that that is super simple, and everyone knows that, everyone is special, everyone does things a certain way, no one looks at life the way that you do. Cherish your uniqueness. Your differences is what's going to make you stand out and succeed. Your mind is a garden. You can either grow flowers or you can grow weeds. That's one of the quotes that I love to say to myself. And there's so much power in words and in affirmations and in quotes, and you should really use these tools to your advantage. Having optimism and seeing things on the bright side not only makes you a more enjoyable person to be around, but it actually is the way that you're communicating to the universe. And now saying affirmations, right, is so life-changing. I always say certain words that trigger me to feel a certain way. If you haven't used affirmations yet, I highly recommend them. I was definitely skeptical about them before I started using them. The reason why most people fail with affirmations is because they're not consistent with them, right? They'll say, well, I tried them for like 3 days and then I kind of stopped doing them, and this takes daily effort. And the way to really hack that and kind of remember to say your affirmations is to just attach it to another consistent habit. A really easy way is to just attach it to showering. And that's the real beauty of our crystal massage soaps, is that every time you shower, you're reminded to say the affirmation. The affirmation is on the packaging, you have the crystal meaning there, and it really reminds you to stay on track with your goals, with your new habits, with your new belief systems. Affirm every day that whatever that you desire, it's on its way. Just know that it's on its way. Repeat to yourself in a very matter-of-fact way, I am progressing, I am not standing still, right? I'm evolving. With eating, for instance, maybe you're so strict on your diet and then you just fall back into your old habits because you're eating like celery sticks and salads, right? Have moderation. Something that really helped me is actually cutting my portions in half, or having like a bite of a cookie versus the whole cookie. I know J-Lo does that, and I heard about that and I was like, oh, that's so awesome that we actually do the same thing. And there's actually a chocolate store that I love to go to, and I always indulge in it because I give myself permission to have that moderation and also indulge. I don't deprive myself of these things. So many of us associate familiarity as something that's good. And just because it's familiar to us, just because we've been doing something for a really long time and we really identify with it, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's for our best interests. Some things we've outgrown, some things just don't serve the higher self anymore. And really, the scariest thing is being in your comfort zone, because when you're in your comfort zone, it's harder to grow that way. But when you're actually edge of that and you're leaping out into the unknown, that's really when you start to learn about life and learn about yourself. Every day you have to conquer yourself. Every day you have to say to yourself, hey, you're not gonna win, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna conquer this feeling. We all have these insecurities. We all have these things that we tell ourselves, and it's a daily battle, right? Everyone thinks that their trauma, their story is the worst, of course, because you lived it, right? But if you actually realize how lucky you are and how many people would want to swap places with you, and just realize how much you have to feel grateful for, life is so much easier because you have a bigger picture, you have that mindset, that perspective of gratitude. And writing down every single day what you're grateful for is such a game changer too. Now, I'm a business owner, and for the longest time, it was really hard for me in the beginning not to feel overwhelmed, because there's not a cutoff time. It's just always on. My mind is always on, and it always wants to do more and more and more. And it's important to block off time for just fun, just time to play, time to indulge. Don't be in this victimhood mindset, okay? So many of us, we say, okay, we're a good person, we treat others well. Why do I feel like I'm a target? Why do I feel like people are out to get me? Why do I feel paranoid and that there's a conspiracy of people just out to get me? Why am I such a target for toxic negative energy? And you really need to make your mark on saying to the universe, this is not okay. You have to put your assertiveness out there. You have to be clear with your boundaries, with others, with yourself, and things that happen to you, You have to know how to react, because that lesson is going to continue to come at you until you actually learn how to deal with it. So ask yourself, maybe there's something that happened to you today, maybe there's someone that triggered you and you didn't handle the situation right? And maybe you're playing in your mind, oh, I should have said this, I should have said that, and that didn't happen. Remember that for next time, because I'm sure that that's going to happen again, because the universe is throwing this at you to create strength within you. Adversity creates character, it creates strength, and it allows us to learn more about our self-awareness. It allows us to learn more about ourselves, about life. A lot of things are blessings in disguise, guys. And remember, whatever you're looking for, you're gonna see. If there is someone in your life that you're constantly thinking about, good or bad, you're gonna experience a repackaging of sorts. Now, a good example of this is when I used to work at this particular job, there was this manager that I did not get along with. They did not like me, I did not like them. And I remember after leaving that job that there was a person there, different gender, different height, different ethnicity, and they had the same energy, and I reacted the same way, and they pushed the same emotional buttons, and it was a repackaging of sorts. And when you are obsessing or thinking about someone negative or thinking about someone positive, maybe your grandma passed away, right? And you keep on thinking about her, and maybe someone comes into your life that reminds you of her, and then you start a friendship with that person. So it goes both ways. Pay attention to where your focus is, because you're gonna attract more of that. In the past, when I was working at different jobs that I did not like, I had a lot of shallow breathing, and I had a lot of tension in my body, and I noticed that it was really affecting the way my pelvic floor felt and just how I felt overall. And it was a very exhausting way to live. I was very depressed, I was very sad, and breathing really affects our mood so much, and it affects everything. So it's really important to focus in on your breathing and really be in tune with your body too. Something that I love to do when I shower is massage and really focus in on each body part. How is my pelvic floor feeling? How is my lower back feeling? How is my upper back feeling? How are my feet feeling? How are my toes feeling? And to actually grind the stone in and target areas that have tension, it's such a treat, and it's such a beautiful way to bathe. And it's really difficult for me to go back to just regular old bathing. I have to massage as I bathe now. And if you'd like to learn more about this, please check out our website. We have a ton of information on there, and I will also link it in the description as well. When I was working in these past jobs, I was just trying to get through my shift. I was just trying to get through the week, trying to get through to the weekend, and through the month, through the year, and through life. And I was just thinking to myself, this is not how life's supposed to be. I'm not just trying to get through and just trying to survive. And we're either surviving or we're thriving. So it's really important to take control of your life. Don't look at life as a chore. Remember, regret weighs tons while discipline weighs ounces. And that's one of the quotes that I always remind myself of, is that it's now or never, and no one is gonna live your life for you. No one is gonna make your dreams happen for you. You have to take initiative, and you have to take those first steps. Actually, leave me a comment below on your commitment to your New Year's resolution, and one thing that you're leaving behind and something that you're replacing that with. Flip the script. If you have fear, turn that into determination. If you have anxiety, turn that into excitement. If you have anger, turn that into empathy. You can actually take control of your life. And it starts with those small changes. The hardest thing about change is not making the same choices that you made yesterday. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram as well. Peace and gratitude. The easiest way to use affirmations that I have found is to just layer it on something that you do already on a consistent basis, right? So just put it on something consistent already, because then you're gonna have consistency in it automatically. A great way is to use our soaps that we have at lifestoneusa.com. And these soaps actually include their own affirmations. You can massage as you bathe, and every time you shower, you're really transforming an everyday task, such as bathing, into something with deeper meaning.